Hello, Star Wars and unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, and today we have kind of a hodgepodge, a couple of new, a couple of older, some things that I found on the shelves, in a store, while out shopping, go figure, yay, and then some things that I had to purchase online, and they've come in the mail today. So I'm going to move my package stuff off to the side for the moment. Honestly, folks, I think they're all Star Wars stuff. I mean, I didn't order anything else, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, but let's first talk about what we have here. These are the Star Wars Resistance action figures. I was able to find in a local Target 5 of the released figures, and I'm very, very excited about it. I'm sad to say that I wasn't able to get the entire set. I know there's a few that are missing. Now, before we continue with this, let me just say, for those who don't know, for the uninitiated, Star Wars Resistance is a cartoon series that's taking place on the Disney Channel, and it is essentially, it takes place time-wise, it takes place about 6 months before the events of Star Wars The Force Awakens. So this is definitely, the Disney era of Star Wars, and this is definitely a kind of a play on what's going on in the rest of the universe. It takes a place on a space station that's anchored in a planet, kind of like those who remember Camino, where it was all water. It was an ocean-bearing planet. I don't know if it was all ocean or mostly ocean. And this is a station that's on it. I think it's called the Colossus. And it's a fueling station, and it's also where they have ace pilots that do races around the station. So it's kind of a hub of activity. And the First Order comes in as having some, has interest in protecting it, but you find out later that there's some not so niceness stuff going on there with the First Order, which of course not. And there's some characters on it, and there are some familiar characters that you see, like Poe Dameron and BB-8, and then there are some new characters, which some of them we'll explain here, and it kind of all interacts. And there's also, with the villains, there's some new First Order characters, but there's also Captain Phasma, who makes appearances from time to time. They did manage to get voices of Gwendolyn Christie to do Captain Phasma, Oscar Isaac to do Poe Dameron. So it's, pretty legit in that sense. So I will say that in watching the show, I definitely feel that it is geared more towards a younger audience. Okay, certainly younger than adult, but even younger than, say, even a teenager or a preteen. It's definitely meant, because early on there was a lot of slapstick. There's been about 12 to 15 episodes so far, and it's been very slapsticky, almost like old-timey cartoon kind of slapsticky stuff. I mean, I don't hate it, but I will be honest, it's not something that I've struggled with to make sure I didn't miss an episode. I generally, but I think that's also just the viewing habits in general are changing now when it comes to television programs. Everything gets, we're so used to binging everything now that I usually just let a couple of episodes come through, and when I 3 or 4 episodes are there, I'll sit and watch them all kind of back to back. I don't mind the show. I think it's cute. I like the characters in it. I know there's a few. I don't remember all the names of the actors that are covering. I know Donald Faison from Scrubs. He plays a Greedo character, not Greedo, but like a Rhodian character. That's one of the ace pilots, and he's kind of over the top, and that's kind of fun. I have noticed that now that they're at the mid-season, they're starting to really get into more. It's getting closer to the events of First Order. In fact, you can watch a preview, and it actually shows that you actually hear the big speech, the last day of the Republic, who's, of course, right now I'm filming my episode. I can't remember. I feel like such a shameful, it'll come to me, but the Imperial officer, the First Order Imperial one that runs the whole army, he is, Hux, thank you, Hux. He's doing it, and they actually use the voiceover from the movie, and you see them kind of watching it. So anyway, I'm babbling, but so the TV show is nice. I do believe now we're getting into a new era where Star Wars is not going to be something that every single person is going to want to watch every single thing. I mean, and a lot of people get sad about that. I mean, they think that sometimes it's a level of quality that's changing. I don't necessarily think that. I think more that, when you think about back in the day when Star Wars Empire and Jedi came and left, There wasn't anything left except for a Droids cartoon and an Ewoks cartoon and 2 Ewok live-action movies. And I watched them all. But by that time in my years, I was becoming a teenager. I was starting to think about my future and planning for college and things like that. And it just didn't become a priority anymore. Then books started coming out, and I read some of them. And comic books came out, and I read some of them. But there were so many that I just couldn't keep up with everything. So I just kind of picked and choose. And I think that's kind of where Star Wars is going now. I think it's going to be there's going to be a grocery store full of different Star Wars media projects, and you can just pick off the shelves what you want. So Resistance, I kind of come and go. I visit it for a while, then I leave it alone for a little bit, then I come back and I visit it again. However, they did decide to make a toy release. And I am a toy collector, so I do like to get, maybe not every single figure, but I do like to get some figures. I do like the figures, so we'll talk through what we have here. We're going to start over here. We have, did I not put their name? I'm like, oh, there it is. Tora Doza. Funny, they don't, oh, okay, there it is. Tora Doza. Okay, she's actually, I think her character is the daughter of Captain Doza, who runs the whole station. Okay, and she's kind of a spunky ace pilot, so that's good. Then you have Sinara San, whom I believe is actually a pirate, who is kind of undercover, and she was rescued by some of the characters, and then over time it turns that you find out as the viewer, you find out that she's not all she seems. She's kind of a spy, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, you have a First Order Stormtrooper. Now, ordinarily, I might not have picked it up if it was just a First Order Stormtrooper like anything else. But animators did redesign the First Order Stormtrooper for the cartoon, and they did honor that redesign with the way the figure looks. It's a little simpler. It's a little bit sleeker edge. They call them frowny faces. I think they really emphasize the frowny face a little more on the First Order Stormtrooper. And then we have some 2-packs here. We have of course, Poe Dameron and BB-8. And again, both Poe and BB-8 are a different sculpt. So I decided, yeah, I'll pick them up. Sure, why not? And one of my favorite characters, Jarek Yeager, okay, and Bucket. I like both of these characters. Jarek is kind of an older mentor type. Kind of works, is helping Poe out by... The one character that I don't have here is the main character, Kaz, who is kind of like where the whole story kind of follows. And Kaz was brought in by Poe to be a spy for the Resistance and is reporting back to him in regular intervals. And Jarek knows this. None of the other people do, but Jarek knows this. And he's, I want nothing to do with it. He kind of has that kind of thing. But they develop a relationship. And of course, Bucket, he's not been doing much in the series, but he is kind of cute. And I'll get, when I open him, you'll get some close-ups. But Bucket is kind of if you think Chopper, if anybody remembers Chopper from Rebels as kind of a pieced together droid from different models and whatnot, but done so in such a way that it was still looked like a droid. This guy does it and doesn't do as good of a job. He's a skeletal version of that. So, all right. So why don't we get to work now? I have no guilt opening up these figures because the boxes, while the art is nice, it's just cartoon art. But the boxes themselves are all bent, and therefore, and these packages very easily come apart. So if you are planning on keeping them in the package, I strongly suggest that you be very careful with them. Maybe put them in the star cases or something to keep them kind of work. Just to keep them from getting too bent. All right, and again, 5 points of articulation. They've gotten it down to a science here. Okay, but a little thinner. Okay, I think all of the this is the Stormtrooper. As I said, the Stormtrooper is a sleeked up version. Okay, the whole look of every figure is very thin. I think that's both a design choice and a financial choice. I think that, like anything else, every year things cost more money. So what do toy companies do? Well, they figure out ways to cut costs, and they figure out ways to, they raise the price and lower the cost, which is sad. But I don't know. The older I get, the more I realize that if I don't want, the only way I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to complain about it, and I'll tell you why I'm not going to complain about it. The only way honestly, that that we could ever be in a situation where we won't have that happen is if we just stop buying it, and then the toy companies have to come up with another way to do something. Now I'm doing something different, but I'm still going to buy the toys, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm sorry that the quality is going down in the sense, and I don't mean down really. I'm just saying it's less. It's not bad. It's a nice figure. Looking at Sonara Sand, I mean, it's a nice figure. It's got a good look. It's got a good sculpt. It's got but it's very thin. And that's the frame of the character. It's very thin. One thing I'm doing is I'm actually taking the. This is something I sometimes do. I'm actually taking their titles off of their packs. I'm actually taking the titles off. And why am I doing this? Well, this is something that I generally, when I'm done, sorry for the noise. When I'm done doing and by the way, Sonara comes with a helmet, so that's cute. There we go. When I am done doing my unboxing episodes, what do I do with these figures? Well, they have one of three things happen to them. Well, actually no, one of two things happen to them. They either end up getting put into a display diorama or playset diorama, something like that, number one. Or they end up getting put into a little play. Like I take them out of one bubble and I put them in another bubble. But the other bubble I put in is one I can open and close. It's one of those little clamshell cases, has a little hook on the top, a little hole on top so you can hang them. I've done episodes. In fact, I think my shelf talk this week is going to be about where my little figure display, my custom boxed figure displays, and I'm going to kind of walk that. I've done pass-throughs with it. Now I'm going to kind of do it in more detail. But the reason, but the thing is that there've been so many figures and so many things that have come out, particularly with the TV shows like Clone Wars, Rebels, and now Resistance, that if I'm going to get these figures, I'm not going to remember who they are, and I want to have a record of that. I want to have some type of a record. Okay, so I have decided to just take their little name, and they have this little tag at the bottom, and I just take it off the case and I put it inside the case, so I do remember. I mean, I'm thinking long term, guys. I'm thinking like, what's going to happen in like 20 years? Who knows what the Star Wars brand is going to be doing? Who knows what's going to be going on? I want, and what happens? Another thing is, what happens if, that, let's face it, us original Star Wars fans are coming to the reality, meaning the ones that were born in the 70s, are coming to the true realization that chances are Star Wars is going to outlive us. It's something that I've heard been talked on podcasts. I'll get back to that conversation in a minute, but I want to point out something about Tora Doza. Tora Doza has this little, almost like Japanese animated kind of bear, like pom-poms on her ears, kind of like a Princess Leia thing with the buns, but they're just little on the top here, almost looking like a teddy bear. The problem is you can't fit the helmet on. So what they've done is they basically have and replace it with the helmet. Not the first. But there's a problem. Okay, there we go. Not the first figure to do this. I mean, most of the heads on figures are basically just ball bearing. You just stick the plastic hole in the plastic ball, and then the thing can swivel and turn and do what you need to do. The only problem is that it could lose some of its friction or what have you. So I'm going to keep her head on there, and I'm going to just have her hold her helmet. Hopefully I can have her hold her helmet. If not, I'll just keep the helmet on the floor, which is what it looks like I'm going to have to do. Yep. Should have thought of that, Hasbro. Put a little handle for the hat or something. A lot of customizers like that feature because it allows them to, if let's say they want to have any character, any face character dressed as a stormtrooper, well, they can simply pull the stormtrooper head off and replace it with any other character's head. Now you have that character dressed as a stormtrooper. So it's something to do. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying as I open up Poe Dameron and BB-8. Since we have come into the reality that now that Disney owns Star Wars, it's no longer going to just be 3 movies or 6 movies or 9 movies. When we get to December of this year, consider the fact that presently, we have 8 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 Star Wars movies. 10 Star Wars movies that have now come out and been released in theaters. 11 if you count the Clone Wars movie. We'll have 12 by the end of this year. 12 movies. What other franchise, other than James Bond, what other franchise does that? All right, it's really not a lot. So with that, it's just become very evident that eventually, if they're going to keep this going, they're building an entirely new theme park. You know, not theme park, but they're building an entirely new theme park land. They're going to keep this going. They're going to want to keep this going as long as humanly possible. They paid $4 billion for it. They're keeping it going. And you know, one thing, you know, I'm not at a, I'd like to think I'm going to be around a few more decades, but hopefully, well, even after that, there's still going to be stuff. There's going to be a resurgence. There's going to be new interest. There's going to be, you know, a nostalgic return. Just like we already have. They'll do it again. Okay, and they've done it with Star Trek. So, you know, you see that. So we've become, you know, very much accepting of the fact that, you know, Star Wars is going to outlive us. So from a practical standpoint, I just want to know that if something happens to me and I still have all this stuff here, that my family and my next of kin will be able to, you know, distribute it and sell it and do what they want to do with it properly, and it makes it easier. So, kind of a sad thing to say. So I'm going to stop talking about that. Now that's interesting. Torra Doza's got to have the separate head for the helmet. Not Poe though, and not Synara. They just have their helmets. Boom, there they are. Okay, cool. Now I do want to say that. Oh, I forgot about his gun. Sorry, Poe. I almost forgot your weapon. Okay. I have one complaint, or I shouldn't say a complaint. I'll say it's more of a concern, and that has to do with BB-8. I don't know if you can see it down here, but BB-8 is not able to stand, or I should say, I'm having trouble getting him to. He doesn't want. Come on, BB-8. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? Oh, did I get it? No. I don't get it. He doesn't want to. I like what they do. They do have a really cool like feature with his dome. Kind of moves around in a very similar BB-8 fashion, but he will not stay up. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's like having a dice. You know, like you can get it on one thing, but you got to get it on one area and one area alone. So we got to be careful there. All right, and lastly but not leastly, we have our Yeager. Jarek Yeager and Bucket. Kind of set up the same way as Poe, except it looks like he is also in the Torra Doza kind of setup where he needs to you need to remove his head completely in order to get his helmet on. I am not going to bother with that because I really do feel that you hardly ever see Yeager on the show flying. You do a little bit more towards the end of this, you know, the halfway point of the season. But otherwise, no, not so much. But I will say they hold their weapons well. And he looks like you can kind of shove the helmet in to his hand, and that seems to work where he can hold the helmet. So that's good. I wonder if I can get that to happen with Torra Doza too. Come on. See, it just feels like Torra Doza's head is so much smaller. I can't really get her. Oh. No. Well, maybe. Just look. But unfortunately, if you get it too close to it, it looks like she's holding a helmet with a person's head inside of it. So you got to be careful there. But that seems to work. All right. That's good. Redemption. Hasbro. Thank you. All right, and then you got Bucket, okay? And now Bucket looks a little bit strange here. You know, he has a third leg. And, oh, no, okay. You can, all right, so you can do it. His third leg can pop out a little bit. And then you can have, you know, the R2, I will say this, the R2 unit third leg option has always been a challenging thing to do. There he goes. I can understand why Kenner had a hard time doing it at the very beginning. But anyway, so, I just realized that I'm already a little further along. So I hope the people that were looking for these, I'll put a little notice at the front. I'm going to hold off on the other part, the stuff that I ordered online and came in the mail this week. I'll save that for next week's episode. Who knows? I might get another item online. And if I get any other figures during the week, I'm going to hopefully try to find the remaining Resistance figures and try to complete this, at least the first wave, okay? There are some cool ones out there. I do believe and don't ask me for the names of them. I only know them because I had the titles in front of me. But I do know that there were a few other ones. I think there was like a red First Order Stormtrooper, maybe a gold one. I don't know if they were both released in the first wave, and Kaz. So I want to make sure that those at least are two of the red one and Kaz I know are there. So we'll look around, see what I can come up with, and I will get to these next week. I apologize for not getting them this week, but this turned out to be a little bit longer. In terms of Resistance, I would say this, folks, give it a shot. Okay, you can get it on the Disney Channel. If you have Disney, you can watch it. You can watch it online on Disney Now. Give it a shot. But be aware, all Star Wars television stuff falls into the trap of every television show. Every television series of every genre falls into this trap. And that it's not really a trap, it's just a reality. There are good episodes, there are so-so episodes, and there are bad episodes. And even that, it's up to the beholder. Some people might love this episode and other people hate it. So be aware of that. But as far as the Resistance figures, really cool stuff. The sculpts are great. They're very simple. They are definitely thinner. They're probably a little more fragile, so if you're getting them for play value, be aware of that, okay? I'm really actually impressed that I got them all to stand up because their legs and feet are so tiny. So they all stayed up with very little prompting, and I even got BB-8 to work, so I'm really happy about that. I don't know if you can see him. Here he is, so I'll try to... Oh! Knocked over Yeager, sorry. I'm gonna pull BB-8 back, just so you can see that he does stand. Okay, and all the rest of them did as well. All right, so that'll do it for this week's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, smash the icons or whatever you're supposed to do these days, the like icons. I appreciate the comments I've been getting and any suggestions for things. I will certainly do what I can to try to accommodate. And again, check me out, all my other videos and some of my playlists. If you're looking for like niche and specific niche within the niche, okay, specific items, check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Darth Tuba, Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook, and email me darthtuba77@gmail.com, or just leave comments if you have any questions. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.